All right, everybody, to make up for the multiple times that we have run late, we're running a couple minutes early today. So, this is the disclaimers by Ed Johnston. Let me get that clip going in there and transition, and it is July 21st, 2018. It is currently a Saturday, but that'll change at midnight and it'll be Sunday. But we were talking in the background, and there's some interesting stuff that Ed and another caller was talking about. But until then, I got a nice little question riddle for you, Ed. Here's a question for you. Why did the Scarecrow win the war?
Because the Shadow knows.
No, because he was outstanding in his field.
Because he was outstanding.
Oh, and this is a true one right here. This one is very true. No matter how much you push the envelope, it'll always remain stationary. Ed, why don't you take it away?
Well, thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us again tonight. The last couple of weeks have been quite intriguing for me, or interesting, or shocking, or whatever you want to say. Go ahead. Okay, I thought you were speaking. Anyhow, the last couple of weeks have been interesting for me. So that way people comprehend. I did spend 8 days, 5.5, 6 days on life support system in the county, my county, another county. So it is interesting how medical systems comprehend what's going on. These men and women do get it. So do your public servants, your police officers, your mayor, city council. These men have to go through these courses that are supposed to be regulated by democracy, and trust me, I refuse to go through the courses when they wanted me to go through them when I was elected. But I knew the story. I knew the truth. I wasn't going to fall retainer to the BS. But see, the one thing about all this circumstances that we live, and I put some new stuff up on Facebook and stuff. I got some new stuff that's coming out. And the one thing is like when we're putting these things out, dealing with the mayor, the city council, county commissioners, public servants, when we're putting this information out, we want to make sure that the information that you're putting out yourself. Because those pieces that we put together have a lot to do with protecting the bloodline. And people are slowly getting what the bloodline means. It's your bloodline. Your bloodline goes back to how far generations are in this country. Your bloodline goes back to if you're an immigrant of your former country, that you came into this country. So you need to comprehend that when you come into this country, you come into somebody else's home. It's a privilege, not a right. So this is the one thing that by protecting our bloodline, this is the future we have of our children. So the one major point is that we do have a lot of information up on new.org and trackers. Please look at that information. And when I was in the hospital, I was actually talking to doctors and nurses. I had several doctors or nurses look at me like, what the hell are you talking about, the birth certificate structure? So you enter this, don't you? Don't you get a bonus check or something like that might happen with that? And they're going, well, something like that does happen, but we don't correlate what that means. And so I explained it to them. And I informed them to go on the new.org and Trackers website so that way they can read the truth. The state, when you register your child, you give your authority over to the state. Or if you don't register your child, you own your child. Okay, and then that way the state has to go against your, constitutional rights or legal immigration rights. So this is the one point that you have to put these 2 points together of what, why, and how. So, I mean, the whole bottom line comes down to this whole circumstances that we're living today. We do comprehend that the birth certificate bond is an insurance bond. We do comprehend the IRS is not part of the United States Incorporated private corporation subdivision from England, basically, the Bankruptcy Act. So we've got a lot of things out there that we do have the knowledge to stop it. That is the point. That is the one point that we put that point out, asking your county commissioners, your city council, or what else would it take. So you might not realize that it might not mean a lot to you by putting that out to each individual of your county and your city and your state and your senators. But see, you're missing a golden point here. We're asking them to prove their office or oath. So this is our responsibility to do this. So as we're putting this letter out, and I passed the letter around, it's on the Facebook sites, New Oregon Trackers, United States for American Republic, Elected Public Servants Oversight. It's also too on Civil War 1868, the brain fart. Recall Cape Brown Facebook site and the 1866 Civil War lawful bloodline Americans. See, with all the stuff that we're getting out here, all right, we've got a lot of people that have been pushing this information out there to the general public for years. General public hasn't listened in some regards. See, the one point I want to bring up, like with the Hammonds. The Hammonds got their case where basically they were guaranteed clemency by the president. Now, does that erase their rights to sue the public employees that did what they did? So does that mean that when the president exonerated them, that exonerated the elected public service that harmed them? Well, that is a question that needs to be done. These Hammonds and these people need to write criminal complaints, put them in, quit whining like little girls and boys, and start standing up. Prove that you believe in what you say you believe in your book. See, I mean, that's the bottom line that we're living right now. You're living it, we're living it. So either you start standing up, Hammonds, or you're no different than the rest of those idiots that are going out, oh, we need to make money off of T-shirts. We need to make money off of this, that, and the other thing because we're assaulted. Is the deal about making money more important than having what you would call justice? See, that is the saddest point that you're teaching your children. You're not teaching your children that they have any security, any foundation, any structure of life. You're not teaching them that at all. See, that's the saddest point that we're living. See, you should be out there standing up for what you claim as a constitutional right. File on these men and women who assaulted you. File on these men and women who took your assets from you, your bloodline. See, that's what you need to do. See, all these, is like Anne von Ritz, some of her letters she comes out with, remember, Anne von Ritz is not a judge. It's been proven by Alaska State Supreme Court. I know, I personally called them myself and dealt with that. But see, it's not going after her or anybody else. There's a lot of information out there, but either you're going to stand up and comprehend what your rights are or your privilege are. You're going to let these people say these crazy circumstances, and they're going to pay for them more than one way. Otherwise, you can start learning the court system itself and how it works and producing your structure. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who have gone through, trying to do their court case and stuff, and they're not writing the injured party themselves into it. They're not focusing on the structure of their court case. They're structurally going after what everybody else would say, instead of stepping out of the structure, their system, and looking how a judge has to read the paperwork. And so we're all dealing with this. How does a judge read the paperwork? How does this happen? And so that's why the federal procedures of criminal structure that we put up on our website, and I put out for many people, I ask people to read that. You'll find a lot of information reading that structure in the Federal Procedure of Criminal Activity than you will with anything else. And you quote their own administrative rules. You'll hear people say, oh, stay away from their administrative rules. Stay on the private side or the public side, whatever. We know that their administrative rules are copyrighted. So you're only quoting to them what they have to go by, what their public servitude is. And when you put that letter in, too, don't forget to put the 1938 Foreign Administration Registration Act in it. Ask them if they're registered. And if you don't get a registration back for them in 21 days, file on them for not being registered. It's a federal crime. Oh, your acting president, corporation man, Donald Trump, has proven that was his own public employees, his own lawyers he had to fire. So you got to step out of the movie and watch the production compared to what you think it is. And we're all going through this crazy stuff. Is forget religion. When it comes down to it, start focusing on your family, your bloodline. How are you going to live? How are you going to survive? How is that bloodline?
Are you okay there, Ed? Alright, see guys, he is still having trouble.
Honey Bear!
You're there? Yeah, I'm here. Are you there? Oh, Honey Bear. Okay. And Ed is off. This is the kind of things that happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a audio file, and you can listen to, well, Ed's still not in the best health. He jumps in to give this information out. But I like this one.
Tell people not to come to our country illegally. That's the solution. Don't come to our country illegally. Come like other people do. Come legally. I'm saying this very simply. We have laws, we have borders. Don't come to our country illegally. It's not a good thing. And as far as ICE is concerned, the people that are fighting ICE, it's a disgrace. These people go into harm's way. There is nobody under greater danger than the people from ICE. What they do to MS-13 and everything else. So we ought to support ICE, not do what the Democrats are doing. Democrats want open borders and they don't mind crime. We want no crime and we want borders where borders mean something, all right? And remember this, without borders, you do not have a country.
Are you done, Darius?
All right. Well, that really does say it all. But until Ed gets back here, let's.
All participants are unmuted.
All right. So how's everybody doing this Saturday?
No.
Doing pretty good. Had to cut grass.
Yeah. Kind of concerned about Ed. He has to worry.
Is that all right?
As far as I know, he is. Oh, hold on. There we are. Hold on. And he's coming back on. Yeah. But you guys heard him. Major coughing fit. He's having trouble. And that, of course, was my son. He's kind of slow on the talking bit, but he's getting there. I think once his sister gets old enough to start talking, it'll be a competition all of a sudden, and it'll be never-ending words everywhere. But Ed should be on very soon. When he gets back on, I'll ask him if he wants to mute everything again and keep
Are you
talking.
still recording?
Yeah, it's still recording. Everybody's still recording right now. We're still live. I'm not gonna shut it off until either Ed's not coming back in like 10 minutes or he should have been here by now.
Well, to bounce off what Ed was talking about was to send notices to the administrative people, correct? That means your governor, your mayor, your city councilman, the police chief, the sheriff's department, the head of the sheriff's department, the people that are head of their departments, depending on which issue you're having, I guess is what Ed was talking about. Notify them, let them know about what you're doing so they don't feel like they're being blindsided. But then also have the instrument look at it and make sure that you have all the facts in it of your instrument before sending it up to the judge, right?
That's a fact.
Yeah, there, he's back. Do you want me to mute it or keep the floor open?
Keep it going. Keep it going.
All right, you guys keep having fun. I'm going to keep making dinner.
Let's see. And well, heck, now my head went blank. But then also make sure that you look up their administrative procedures Like sheriffs are not supposed to be arresting people. Sheriffs are not supposed to be giving out tickets. Their duty was to hand out warrants. Take care of the jails and be the bailiffs in courts. So they're stepping outside of their administrative duties with all the extra stuff that they're doing, which they're not supposed to be doing. And that's also like the state police. They're supposed to be taking care of the state, or is it state police? Or yeah, state parks, state mental hospitals. And I can't remember the third one, but again, they're out handing tickets and doing all this stuff that is not according to their administrative duties. So they're stepping outside their bounds. And also, when you go into court, you want to make sure that you demand the judge's oath of office or send a letter of reaffirmation of their oath of office. Which one would you rather do? Demand their oath of office or get them to reaffirm their oath of office? I'm not really sure about that.
No, you got it right there, and also too have them put a conflict of interest statement in.
Oh, yeah, especially like the family courts where the judges are getting federal funding for putting children with certain parents, and they're overstepping their boundaries because they get federal funding from that, so that's a conflict of interest. Lawyers, they're great. They also have a conflict of interest. An example, I'm having an issue with still probate. They keep saying that you have to hire an attorney, but then if you hire the attorney's first duty is to the court. So when you hire them, one, you're waiving your constitutional rights. You become a ward of state, or you're an infant. So basically you're either a nut job or a baby. So layman's terms is basically what it is. But still, their first duty is to the court, and you're paying them money, which now makes that a conflict of interest, which then you can turn around and go back, but then you have to go and file a notice to the governor, to the, I believe the mayor, city council, the bar association, code of ethics, letting them all know that you're going to be suing a certain attorney because of the conflict of interest, for them taking your money from you and not disclosing this in any of their paperwork, that you waive your constitutional rights and that their first duty was to the court. Am I missing anything?
No, you got it.
Okay. Let's see.
See, that's the one thing that when it comes to this information, getting it out there, how to do this, because everyone's you got all these people, they go, oh, we need to reform the courts, the children's courts. How come that one of those people actually read their administrative rules and read how it applies or don't apply to them? See, that's what gets to me. Everybody wants to go by a book that is called the Bible instead of learning how our forefathers put this structure in to protect our bloodline. When it really comes down to it, to protect our bloodline, people don't even get that.
And that's the sad thing. Because that what I was going to say is that's the sad things, because nobody wants to study the history and find out how also the the people that make the fake money sit there and they're just trying to basically take over the world, because they already did it in Europe, and now they're trying to do it here to the States. And these people that are lawyers, they Salem witch trials, they not only hunted witches, but they also hung lawyers because at that time, because was it that it was against the law to shelter, feed, or help a lawyer, and now these lawyers have turned it around so bad that now you can't even do anything without a lawyer. You've got to get a license. You've got to get a license for marriage, a license to have a baby, a license to drive, a license to own a house, a license to run a company. And so they basically they've covered everything. You want to sue a hospital? You got to turn around and get a lawyer for that too. Which, as you're explaining, they're private corporations, all of them. August the 21st, 1878, the American Bar Association was started by 75 lawyers in Sarasota, New York, and it was not even approved by Congress. So this is a monopoly that they have done, that these lawyers have done. And then they sit there and say, well, you have to have an attorney. No. And you don't need to learn all that legalese words. It helps if you know some of it so you can keep up with what they're saying, because that's how they turn around and screw us. But basically, we're supposed to be speaking in plain English so that we can comprehend these charges that they're filing, false charges, because statutes, codes, rules, regulations are not laws. And as the Supreme Court has said, what appears to be lawful is not, due to the ignorance of society. Milton, were you going to say something?
No, keep going.
No, I thought Milton was going to say something.
Oh, go ahead. The floor is yours. Speak up.
Hello, Ed.
Yeah, go ahead.
I sent you a book from my library. Okay? It's 200-something pages that explains juries before the lawyers really took them over. All right? Make sure that gets out there to everybody. Okay?
Okay.
Read it yourself, because the guy's telling you what went down in that book. It's 1852. It was written.
Okay, we'll get that posted up.
Yes, it's on. I sent you an instant message a couple of days ago.
Okay.
I know you're not feeling good, so I haven't pushed anything. Yeah, you definitely need to get that to these people. They need to read it. Okay.
No, I agree with you. And like the other point is what I've been serving on the county and the cities and stuff. People need to reevaluate what I've done. I've got a few more things that I'm adding into the new one I'm getting ready to serve. And see, that's the one thing. We start serving these papers out there. Freedom Information Act. All right, people say, well, they're not going to respond. Who cares? You're missing the point. It's filed. It's out there. You send it to the media. Every time you send something out, if you're not embarrassed or trying to keep it to yourself, send it to a link to the media that's around. Send it to 3 other media when you send these things out like I do.
Next week.
Go ahead.
Next weekend, I want to send you another book that you're going to like.
Okay.
All right, and I advise everybody in there to go to the back part of that and read the militia section.
Okay, we'll get that out there. And you got the stuff I sent you on the maritime stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you get a chance and you feel better, get with me. We got to talk.
Oh, no problem. We got quite a few things going on, but like I said, the last couple of weeks have been very
I know.
Interesting for me, I should say.
Listen, do you got a store near you?
A store? What kind of store?
Like a Walgreens or something?
Yeah, we have
Go in there. Go in there and get you. They have big bags of like Hall's eucalyptus, cough drops, okay? And start doing those. It'll help your lungs.
I got you on that. I got you on that one. Of course,
Okay.
I do grind rosemary and sage too to inhale.
And there's something else. Hold on a second.
Okay.
It's called. Oh, yeah. Where is it? Turmeric.
Oh, I got turmeric at the yin yang.
Okay. But
Well, see, the one thing is that I don't know if you realize that I used to be a chef.
Yeah.
Okay, and I professionally cooked in 5-star restaurants, literally. So, I mean, I do have some concept of herbs, and including wild herbs that we have in my area that we could use. So it is putting this stuff together.
Okay.
So I appreciate it.
No problem.
So, no, it was a heck of an experience that I went through. And then finding out. No, well, you have no idea. When I went through a couple things, it was very traumatic in some people's minds, or my mind at the time. But it was just the way it had to be. I had to open my eyes up to different other things, I guess. You know, so that's part of life. But so, like I said, you know, we're getting this other email. I'm going to be putting this other email out that I haven't got a chance. I said I was going to work on this, but the last week I've been, or 2 weeks, 10 days, you know, since I've been in and out of the hospital. I just been focusing on relaxing right now. You know, it's basically taking it easy, but I've got to get back in the swing of things. So I'm going to be getting back in the swing of things and start nailing the city council. Yesterday, I was walking my dog for a walk around the neighborhood, and that was good because I was able to breathe a lot better than I have been walking around the neighborhood. Or my area, it's like a couple country blocks that I walk, and when I can. And so anyhow, I got the dog out, and we had one of the former city employees coming up going, "Hey Ed, you a registered voter? We're doing this petition." And I looked at her and I said, "Don't you realize that I'm not in the system? Don't you realize I'm a free man?" And this is right in front of 3 other neighbors. And she goes, "Well, yeah, you are, but not everybody else is." I'm like, okay, cool, you recognize that, but it's like, I'm not a registered voter. I'm not in that system. Why would you even ask me? And she's like, now she wants to walk away. You know, because they got another petition to try and do in a city. My city, man, I've got to go after them because they raised the city property taxes up. Basically, $100 per $100,000, 10% raise on $100,000, or 1%, I mean. Now, we're already paying so much, and I'm already fighting the stuff on the city taxes and the county taxes and stuff. And it's one thing that what we're going through here is that to stand up to this stuff and stop this shit. And so I don't have a problem speaking up or standing up. It's like all of a sudden, I'm talking to people, and it's like, hey, I'm ready to deal with the sheriff. I'm not problems. It's the way I'm dealing with life, and they know it. And I've been in the same spot. People have told me over years, Ed, why don't you move? I've been in the same soil, on the same soil, for since 1996. Over 20 years. So I think people know me in the county or the state, and people say, well, you should move because they're going to try to do this and try to do that. been through it, lived it. I'm still here. And we all shouldn't live in the fear of these things. Because the way I look at it is that there are some things that have to be done. We're not done with the things we are doing. And the thing is that people are actually starting to pay attention nationally. So sometimes we might not get the personal recognition or certain things that we feel that we should have or deserve, or, we should have the applause or something like that out there. And see, the one thing is that when I was a bodyguard, one of the most valuable lessons I learned, was you took the perpetrator out, but nobody knew who did it. You didn't want to be around. You didn't want anybody to know. So you wanted to be in the shadows. You didn't want somebody to sit there and, when people tried to give you all this grand credit, you did this, that, and the other thing. The thing is that people know the truth. So either people know the truth or they don't know the truth. And that's the one thing that we are dealing with right now today. But we are succeeding. I mean, people go, oh, President Trump, he's doing this, he's doing that. All these senators, you guys got to pay attention. You watch all these senators right now, Maxine Waters, Feinstein, Pelosi, Boxer. You don't hear much from Boxer anymore. A lot of these, excuse me, a lot of these men and women we don't hear much from. And they're panicking because they can't play their song and dance like Nancy Pelosi. Her video comes out that she did back in 1983 on immigration. Close the borders, do all this stuff. And now she's still to open the borders because she's making all that money through San Francisco on the birth certificate bond. And it's really disgusting when I have to admit that I'm a fourth generation San Franciscan, and everybody's living in shit in San Francisco now. Literally. That's not what we wanted for our freedom or our structure. And we're living this today that all these men and women are out there doing all this crazy stuff or claiming they're homeless. You can't be homeless. There's too much public land out there. There's no such thing as homeless. I wrote a homeless plan for the state of Oregon and Lincoln County to put all the houses that they have that are vacant, remodel them. Oh, that would create local jobs. And we would be able to put people back in their structure, including under 192, Resolution 192, if they want to go through that structure or not. Because 192 is real. And it's like, I don't want to sit out there and get people walked into 192 like some people have. Because we want to prove 192. We want to make sure 192 is 100% accuracy. We don't want people to go out there and get in trouble. And we know a lot of people have gone out and got in trouble. And that is the saddest part that we're dealing with today with a lot of these people that have gone out and put themselves in harm's way. And we try to sit there and make sure people don't get put in harm's way, all of us. And that's the one thing about learning the truth compared to what one thinks it is. And not religion. But no offense for those people in religious beliefs, but you can't go by religion. You have to go by the facts of the reality of what's sitting in front of your face right now. You got food. Do you know how to do you know how to create food? Do you know how to survive? Collect water. Do you know how to sit there and know how to skin a deer and elk when it comes down to it? And we are so dependent on canned food today that we don't realize that we're so dependent that we don't even know what it is to be free. And some of us who are free, they don't want us to be free because they can't have the truth known. And the other point is we got a lot of elected and public servants that want the truth known, but they're caught in the middle. It's like I said to one public servant the other day in my county, and I said, they're like, well, we'd like to get some changes done, Ed. And I said, great. That's great. I want to see changes done too. And so how do you propose some of these changes? And they brought up some ideas, and I said, how about if you just honor your oath? That stops the problems. And they were more worried about their retirement than they were about the future, the children. That is the saddest part we're living right now today. And I got to say one thing about the crew that when I was in the hospital, that was an interesting experience, but it was like I had one of the nurses come in and tell me, hey, you don't realize how sick you are. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't breathe. You think I don't know that? So, it was disturbing to me with some of the stuff that happened in that surrounding structure. But the other point is that right now talking to you folks, I'm still alive. And people were so worried. It's like they had administration come into me 4 times in the hospital. Well, can you sign this so that way if you decide to sue the hospital or sue the Social Security, we need to have you sign this? And I looked at the paperwork. And basically it says in 72 hours when you sign this paperwork, if you don't file anything in 72 hours, you're not liable for compensation. That's what it read. And I'm looking at the deal, and the guy's trying to shove this down my face. I looked at him, I said, you comprehend? I'm medically distressed right now. How do you expect me to sign or give you an autograph on anything when I can't comprehend and I don't have my legislative counsel here with me? Well, just sign it. And I'm looking at him going, I don't have legislative counsel here with me. I can't sign that. He goes, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. So tomorrow, the following day, he comes back and trying to get me to sign this paperwork, and I'm looking at him going, I'm still under medical duress. Why would I want to sign anything? I don't have to sign anything because I'm in the hospital. I'm medically duressed. And he's like, okay, and he leaves. And then the next day, they had another lady come in from administration office and trying to get me to sign the paperwork. And I said, I can't sign that. I don't have legislative advisors with me. I can't sign anything. I'm under medical duress. Why would I sign anything? And she goes, just sign it. And then I'm going through this literally, like if you've been there, you've been through it yourself. And they're like, just sign it. And I'm like, I can't sign it. I won't sign it. I'm under medical duress. I'm on life support system, and they're trying to shove this stuff down so that way they can try to get me in a contract for Social Security, disability, or the contract for the hospital. And see, these people actually have this stuff, and that's the way it really works. And so you have to comprehend not to do this stuff. When somebody shoves something in and says, sign it, hey, if the worst thing you have to say, I'm under duress or medical duress, say it. Don't sign anything until you're completely clear of what they're trying to get you to sign. And I would not sign a paperwork when I was in a hospital. I didn't sign anything when I was in there. I didn't sign anything when I left. Oh, that's right. See, I'm a lawful American. I'm not a debt. And so they have to deal with that because I was forcing that and producing that and preaching that when I was there. And I know these people are looking at me like I'm nuts on a lot of stuff I was saying. And some of them got it. And some of them actually got the birth certificate bond. When I was there, I was talking about the birth certificate bond, and I had one nurse that was talking to me that she's going to be, what do you call that? Home birthing mother.
Midwife.
Thank you. She's going to be a midwife. That's what she was studying for. And I'm like, well, here's some contracts. Here, look at my website. Here's some information. Here's how you can do a contract. So if you're going to be a midwife, you can do that so you can legally cover yourself to a hospital if they have to go to the hospital. Or you can do this to legally cover yourself with your people. So I don't know if she went on the site, if she went to learn anything. But see, when I tell people, it's not that I'm out there trying to shove this down through people's throat. I want them to comprehend it. I want them to learn. We are all learning this process. And that is the beauty about what we're doing here. We're sharing knowledge with one another. You know, some of us might not agree with some other knowledge. Some of us might not disagree, or some of us will disagree. But the point is that we can always argue about the semantics about some point. But the bottom line comes down to is that we are making change. We are seeing things happen. You know, I mean, I'm so shocked when I was sitting in the hospital. I mean, I don't do local TV or news. I haven't had local TV in 15 years. But people are talking on the news. It was interesting. You know, people are bringing up something called the bloodline in mainstream media. And that was even a cross-reference dealing with the immigration of kids. Can't separate the kids. And when I watched that, dealing with that, with their bloodline came up on one of the news channels when I was in intensive care. It was interesting. I was in and out. But it was interesting. I caught the glimpse of it. So people are getting it. They are seeing a change. And without us speaking up and making these things happen, you know, it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for us collectively. So, but anyhow, I don't want to get too much rambling. I want to go ahead and open the floor, see if anybody's got any questions or stuff. It's been a heck of the last 2 weeks for me, basically. Actually, it's been going, you know, with my lung issue, it's been going on for 14 months prior that I found out through the medical people. So, and I've already been fighting with another doctor, going back and forth, telling them I've had this issue for the last 12 months. So I haven't finished my letter to him, but I will be getting one out to him and the medical people here shortly, because I thought it was interesting, because I've already been through it for 12 months. Why did it get allowed to be built up to the point it got built up? So I got questions myself, too. So with that, I'm going to open up the floor, and go ahead.
Say, Ed.
Yeah.
Could you explain, or do you know anything about the SF95?
Which form? I know that name sounds, the form sounds familiar.
It's for a tort claim.
Okay.
From what I was reading, it says that you're supposed to, like what you said, send it out to all the administrative departments, letting them know that you'll be suing their official
capacity.
Yes. Exactly how does that work, and what would you exactly do with that? I mean, and I know it would work for the officers that arrested me and put me in jail when they actually had no right to do that.
All right, well, let me run off here another situation. Let's say an elderly person is, or elderly individuals in home care. Okay, you can always file a tort claim on the employees of knowing what's going on when you're not getting information. So you can always file anything you want. It just depends on who's going to accept it. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yes, it does.
So, I mean, that is the one thing that we got to look forward to on how we're doing these things. And it depends on how many irons you got to fire and how many times you're trying to do something, too. You know, I got a lot of irons in the fire myself, but I've got to start stepping out after what transpired, because if I got to start moving on things, because the way I look at it, I got another second chance of life in some regards to get some of these things corrected and done. And I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. Or I shouldn't say guess. I know that's what I have to do by circumstance. So that's the one point of looking at the way things transpire, how we're going to handle these situations.
Hey, Ed, quick question.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, this is for the previous speaker talking about tort claims. I'm looking at the history of tort claims. The first one is Roman law contained provisions for torts. So,
say that again.
Roman law contained provisions for torts in the form of delict, or whatever it is. Okay, so that was Roman law way back then. So if
that's what they're practicing today.
Yeah, exactly. So aren't we supposed to be in a constitutional court, a constitution court, not a Roman law court?
That's correct, but that's the point that we have to file the paperwork to know when you're filing in court if the judge has an oath that is certified by the Constitution or not.
Right, but I'm talking on the aspect, if you're bringing a tort claim, aren't you pretty much forcing them to go to Roman law?
Well, you are, but you still have to go into Article 3 court where you can force them to produce their oath.
Okay. I was just...
So you want to know if that Article 3 court exists or not, and you're by forcing them to produce their oath instead of accepting the maritime system, you're not going along with the program.
Okay, I just wanted it clarified. So, okay.
Does that make sense? So go ahead. Somebody else is speaking up? Okay, I guess not. But I mean, it's like looking at these tort claims and stuff. You know, I mean, it's like doing the research on this and reading court cases and reading how attorneys file their cases. You know, it does help when you actually sit there and take the time to read some of these court cases, and I've done it. And you sit there and you go, huh? Or hey? Or whatever. And you make your notes. Some of the stuff in some court cases, you can always refer to whatever you're doing. You know, you put a paragraph from a court case from somebody else's court case in it. Because remember, a judge goes by administrative rules unless he has a constitutional oath. And if you're going by administrative rules, use the administrative rules to your benefit. You know, and always when you're putting your paperwork together, always never put a statement together. Always put a question in that to the judge. I have a question so-and-so. This administrative rule says this. Here's my question to that. See, let them respond. See, when they got to start speaking up and responding, they don't like that. And we know that. They know it. You know, there's a lot of people that had a lot of court cases dismissed because of that. You know, putting the right paperwork in at the right time and the way it reads, you know, and compared to me, sometimes I write things that are very long. And some people will do it in a couple pages to get their point across. So, I mean, and that's the point. The point is what works. So anyhow, anybody else got any other thoughts? No other thoughts tonight? Well, if that's the case, then we'll call it an evening tonight. Get ready for tomorrow. I would like to thank everybody for joining us tonight, sharing knowledge. That's the whole point about this structure is education. We're not lawyers. We're not doctors. We're not attorneys. None of us are. We don't claim title and nobility of the foreign structure under the 1938 Foreign Administration Registration Act. So anyhow, with that, I would like to say, may the Great Spirit bless you, Mother feed you, and the Creator look over you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ed. Well, a bit longer of a show than we had last weekend, but that's just fine. That means Ed is on the mend, and he might actually pull through. But you got to remember.
Thank you. I hope I do pull through.
No, everybody's got to remember, you never get out of life alive.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully he can suffer through this life a bit more. We need him to suffer longer. I'm saying another 100
I love
years.
the suffering part.
What do you guys say? About another 100 years?
I'd be happy with 30.
Well, okay, 30 it is. Let's figure out who to make the deal to.
Make it 60.
Yeah, okay, my wife says make it 60. But anyways, if he somehow decides to give up, which I don't see Ed giving up, remember, neworgantrackers.com or .org has a lot of information in there, and that information is continuously put in there. Sometimes there's a break because life happens. And we are currently working on a way to be able to have viewers of the website be able to help fund the website as a gift. So we're looking into that, and when it is available, then you might be able to help Ed and his team of, honey bears on his team. So yeah, you'll be able to help those that are trying to help you, if you're able. That's all it is. It's a gift. It is not a donation. It is not a loan or anything like that. If you ever give any monetary value at all, that will be a gift. But again, in case anybody missed it, no matter how hard you push the envelope, it will always remain stationary. So y'all have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.